Zoe didn't fall apart the way people imagine burnout looks. There was no dramatic collapse in the corridor, no tears on the hospital floor. It was quieter than that, and that's what makes it terrifying. It happened at 2:17 a.m. under fluorescent lights that make every face look a little tired, even the ones pretending they aren't. A monitor kept beeping steady, relentless, and Zoe realized her whole life had started sounding like that beep. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Then her hands trembled, just slightly, and something inside her finally told the truth her mouth had been trained to swallow. I can't keep doing it like this. Hello, legacy creators. I need you to stay with me, because 7 days after that night, Zoe had more peace than she'd had in months. She had support she didn't beg for. She had a door open in her career that she used to think was not for someone like me. And the wild part is this. The shift didn't start with a new job or a new schedule. It started with a new identity. It started when she stopped trying to save the world from an empty place and remembered a law that beginners in manifestation can actually live without forcing anything. Zoe is a nurse in the real world way, not the glossy version, the version that knows how to find a vein in bad lighting, the version that can calm a terrified patient with 2 sentences, the version that has seen grief, blood, miracles, and unfairness in the same week. Her colleagues call her soft hands because she never rushes people. Patients trust her because her voice doesn't panic. Families love her because she looks like the kind of person who can carry fear without dropping it. And that was the problem. Zoe became so good at carrying fear that people started handing her theirs automatically. Her phone felt like a second shift. Messages began with, just quickly, or please don't tell anyone, or you're the only one who understands. There was always a cousin who needed money, just this once. Always a friend whose emergency couldn't wait. Always someone who needed Zoe to be the strong one so they could fall apart. Zoe's heart was generous, but her nervous system was exhausted. Still, she kept giving because she held a belief that sounded like love, but functioned like a cage. If I'm not sacrificing, I'm not serving. So she poured and poured. She poured until she didn't recognize herself anymore. Not because she looked different, but because she felt like she was watching herself live someone else's life. A life where she existed to stabilize everyone else's world while her own world quietly crumbled behind the scenes. And here's what I want you to notice. Zoe didn't start resenting people because she was a bad person. She started resenting because she didn't know how to receive. She didn't know how to be a whole human and still be a good one. Then a message came through that landed in her chest like truth you can't unhear. The reminder was simple. The world is a body, and each human is a cell within that body. Zoe heard it while sitting on the edge of her bed, shoes still on, uniform still on, too tired to even shower. The world is a body. Each human is a cell. She stared at the wall and felt something inside her rearrange. Because if that's true, then the way she had been serving didn't make sense anymore. No body heals when one cell is forced to bleed for the others. No body thrives when one cell is inflamed from constant strain. Zoe had been trying to help the world by draining herself. She had been trying to be a blessing by becoming a battlefield. And for the first time, she saw the contradiction clearly. You cannot heal the body by abandoning the cell. Legacy creators, this is the law we're living today, in beginner-friendly language. The Law of Divine Oneness says everything is connected. What you consistently cultivate within yourself ripples into what you experience and what you touch. The metaphor is simple. You are a cell in a living body. When the cell becomes well, the whole body benefits. And the common mistake, especially for good people, is thinking oneness means self-sacrifice. Thinking love means depletion. Thinking being connected means being constantly available. But oneness doesn't ask you to disappear. Oneness asks you to become whole, because wholeness is what actually heals the body. If you come from the Bible tradition, you've heard this principle in different words. There's a reason scripture says, love your neighbor as yourself. That last part matters. Not instead of yourself, not after you've destroyed yourself, as yourself. And there's a reason the Bible uses the body metaphor too, one body with many parts, because it teaches something practical. Every part matters, and health is shared. Even if you don't identify as religious, the wisdom is clear and inclusive. Love that excludes you isn't love, it's a performance. And if you come from African spirituality, you may recognize the same truth through Ubuntu. I am because we are. Your life is not separate from the community. Your wellness is not separate from the whole. Many African traditions hold a deep respect for harmony. When one person is out of balance, the village feels it. When one person heals, the village breathes easier. Different languages, same truth. Connection is real, and it comes with responsibility. Not the responsibility to carry everyone, but the responsibility to stay aligned. Now let me take you to Zoe. Hero moment, because this is where the teaching becomes a turning point. 2 days after that night shift, Zoe stood in front of her bathroom mirror before sunrise. The house was quiet. No one needed her yet. No one had asked. No one had taken it. And in that silence, she did something that felt uncomfortable, almost embarrassing, because she wasn't used to giving tenderness to herself. She looked into her own eyes and whispered, "Zoe, I see you." Then she stayed there. Not to fix, not to perform, just to see. At first, she only saw the version of herself that performs strength. The one who smiles fast. The one who says, "I'm fine," even when her chest is tight. But the longer she held her own gaze, the more she saw what was underneath. The girl who learned early that love was something you earned by being useful. The woman who didn't know how to receive without guilt. The caregiver who didn't realize she was also allowed to be cared for. Her throat tightened, her eyes burned, and then Zoe said the sentence that became the start of her new life. "I'm not going to leave you anymore." That was her first cause, not a big external change, an internal decision. And that's how manifestation becomes safe for beginners. You stop trying to force outcomes and you start changing the inner cause, your identity, your nervous system, your self-respect, so different outcomes can meet you naturally. Over the next week, Zoe practiced the DI protocol, 3 steps, daily. And she practiced it like her life depended on it, because it did. First, she did a simple cell check. Once a day, she asked, "What is my cell carrying right now?" And she named it without judging it. Pressure, guilt, fear, exhaustion, anger, hope. Second, she took 3 slow breaths with her hand on her chest and whispered, "My wellness blesses the whole." If prayer is your path, you can turn that into a prayer. If meditation is your path, let it be a meditation. If you're new to all of this, let it simply be a breath that tells your body, "I am safe to come back to myself." Third, she made one connected choice every day, one action that honored her and the whole body. Nothing dramatic, always real. Day 1, her connected choice was eating before she answered anyone's messages. Day 2, it was sitting in her car for 2 minutes after work with no phone, no fixing, no saving, just breathing. Day 3, it was turning her phone off for 1 hour and letting the world be okay without her. And then came the connected choice that terrified her most, a boundary with someone she loved. The message arrived at lunchtime. Family, money. Again, the old Zoe would have felt panic, then paid, then told herself, "I'll figure it out later." Later always meant debt, resentment, and quiet self-hatred that leaked into her energy at work. She held the phone and felt the reflex rise, fear of being called selfish, fear of disappointing people, fear that love would be taken away if she didn't prove it. She did the cell check. Tight chest, racing mind. Then she breathed, "My wellness blesses the whole." And she typed slowly, like she was writing a new identity into existence. "I can't help this month. I'm managing my health and finances. I love you." Her thumb hovered. Her body begged her to cancel herself. But this is where her legacy self showed up, the version of her who already thinks, feels, decides, and lives from the reality she wants, the best version of herself, the highest expression of herself. That version didn't panic. That version didn't bargain. That version held the line. Zoe pressed send. The reply came back cold and short. Wow. Okay. If you've ever tried to change a pattern, You know that moment, pushback, the discomfort, the guilt wave that tries to drag you back into the old role. Zhu felt the sting. She felt the urge to over-explain, to apologize for having needs, to buy back connection with sacrifice. Then she remembered the law. Everything is connected. If she betrays herself to keep the peace, the body still suffers because the cell stays sick. So she put the phone down. She breathed again. She didn't chase approval. She didn't abandon herself. That quiet decision was her hero moment. Because real heroes don't always fight dragons in the street. Sometimes they fight the version of themselves that thinks love has to hurt. By day 4, the ripple effects started showing up in practical places. At work, a patient's family member snapped at her, the way people do when fear makes them sharp. Old Zoe would have absorbed it, taken it home, cried in the shower, and still shown up tomorrow smiling. This time, she felt her feet on the ground. She kept her voice calm and said, "I hear you. I'm here to help. But please don't speak to me like that." There was a pause. The person blinked. Their tone softened. Zoe didn't become less compassionate. She became cleaner, more present, more respected. Day 5, a training opportunity came up, limited slots, the kind of thing that shifts your career and your confidence. Old Zoe would have thought, people like me don't get picked. I'm already drowning. But her legacy self had a different logic. If I am connected to the whole, expansion is not selfish. It's contribution. She applied, not because she felt fearless, because she refused to keep living like she was small. Then day 6 happened, and it stopped her in her tracks. The same family member who had replied, "Wow, okay," messaged again. But this time the tone was human. "I didn't realize you were struggling too. Are you okay? Can I help with groceries?" Zoe stared at the screen like it was written in another language because she was so used to giving that receiving felt like doing something wrong. But oneness includes receiving. A body doesn't only exhale, it also inhales. Zoe typed, "Thank you. Yes, that would help." Her hands shook again, but this time it wasn't fear, it was relief. Legacy creators, this is the teaching moment, and I want you to pause with it. Zoe didn't manifest support by forcing the universe. She allowed support by becoming a healthier place for support to land. When she stopped treating herself like a tool, people stopped treating her like one. When she honored the cell, the body responded. Not perfectly, not instantly, but unmistakably. Whether you call it manifestation, alignment, answered prayer, ancestral wisdom, or nervous system healing, the principle stays the same. The inner cause shapes the outer experience. So here's your 7-day experiment. For 7 days, give yourself 3 minutes a day. Stand in the mirror and say, "I see you. I'm with you." Take 3 slow breaths and whisper, "My wellness blesses the whole." Then make one connected choice, one action that honors you and the whole body. A boundary, arrest. A request. A no without a story. A yes to an opportunity. Write down what shifts, not just outside, but inside. And every day, ask one question. What is my cell carrying today? Where do I confuse sacrifice with love? What would my legacy self choose here? The version of her who already thinks, feels, decides, and lives from the reality she wants, the best version of herself, the highest expression of herself. Where am I blocking receiving? What ripple did I notice after choosing myself once? If you're ready to go deeper into this work, join us inside DI through the links below and explore the identity practices built for legacy creators. And a gentle reminder, this is educational content. Use your judgment. No guarantees. Just a law you can test with your own life. Zoe didn't stop being a nurse to become whole. She became whole so she could be a better nurse, a better daughter, a better friend, a better leader, a better cell in the body of humanity. And that's your invitation too. Not to do more, not to prove more, to return to yourself, because when one cell heals, the whole body remembers how